Yeah, I'd say about every other day I wasn't sure if this was going to happen or not. A lot of twists and turns, and it was definitely a long process and a lot of emotion, behind it. But I think, just the biggest sense of relief that I'm finally here. Finally got to see everybody in person. It's been a great, first few days here, just meeting everybody. Everybody's been so kind and helpful, and yeah, just very happy and excited to get started.
All right, those are the words of U.S. men's national team striker Josh Sargent, who has now made his move official from Norwich to Toronto FC and MLS. And welcome back into the show. This is Call It What You Want, sponsored and brought to you by Zillow. Someday starts today. Look at us. Good to great sponsors. Look at us. We're growing. I think we're evolving.
You always know how to market. You know how to market things.
Okay, check Jason Chuck. That's not my nickname. But Tom Jimmy Conrad alongside Chuck and Big Tones. Listen, so Josh Sargent comes into the league for $22 million, the third most expensive transfer in the history of the league. Heung-min Son is first. Emmanuel Latte-Lath is second, though it's the same amount as Josh Sargent. You got Rodrigo De Paul in fourth. So he's in the top 10, Josh Sargent. You got Thiago Almada.
44 million spent on championship strikers.
Chuck, I wonder how much you would have cost back in the day. Like if you came in now and everything was at peak, form. So yeah. Well, I assume you think you're worth more than 22 million. I guess
I'm saying I in my mind I would have stayed in Europe, but that's a different conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
For 22 million, let's start here. Let's frame the conversation this way. For $22 million, what do you expect number-wise from a striker at that rate?
20 goals.
20 goals.
20 goals. In MLS, if you're getting a team to spend 20 million plus on you, that's not your salary. Goals.
That's so you're basically spending $1 million a goal. Yeah, $1 million a goal.
Of course, it's not your salary, but you're a team is spending
it
20
more,
million.
Right? Yeah, yes, right.
20 million or more to bring you in.
20 goals.
To me, that's 20 goals.
Like minimum 20 goals.
If we're gonna be realistic and real and be like, all right, you have to score at least this. It'd be 15 goals. Let's be honest.
Okay, 15 and what? Like 5 to 10 assists? Like you need to have at least 20 to 25 goal contributions.
Yeah. I mean, but if you're a striker, and Josh Sargent is one of those players who can create for others. So you're not just let's say it's Zlatan Ibrahimovic or Olivier Giroud. You're not looking for assists from them, even though they can, right? You're thinking about goals. You're a striker in the box, and finishing. Erling Haaland, you're not expecting him to have 10 assists. You want him to have 30, 40, 50 goals if he was playing in MLS. But I think in Josh Sargent's cases, just open up the attacking third, and you got to be responsible for scoring. Everything is going to be put on his shoulders when you spend that type of money in MLS. Remember, this is a selling league, quote unquote. So if you're going to go out and buy an attacking talent, which typically is a foreign attacking talent, not an American.
Lorenzo Insigne and Bernadeschi.
Well, but also consider the age. So he's going into his prime at 26 years old. He has already been in team of the season and championship. You would expect him to come and be peaking for Toronto and have that type of goal production.
Okay. Tones,
would you not expect that?
No, I agree. I agree with you. With you. But let's say Toronto's in a rebuild right now. They're working on it. But we've seen teams flip things pretty quick. Vancouver Whitecaps are a great example. The Whitecaps just decimated Toronto FC this past weekend. There's only one team on the field, and Toronto wasn't one of them. Tones, what do you say about this?
Yeah, I think 20 goal contributions per 15 have to be goals. I mean, you're brought here to score goals. I worry about how much creation he's going to get out of goals. I don't see Josh Sargent as a guy that's creating for himself, right? So you're going to need some help along the way. So they got to build around him. Me personally, I would look at this as a longer term thing. 4 years, he becomes one of the top strikers in the league, and they win something along the way. Like I think something's got to be won along the way with, if Josh Sargent scores 15, 20 goals a year and they finish, 6th place every year, 8th place in the Eastern Conference, what's that really mean in the end? We brought a goal scorer in, or we're doing all of this because we're trying to get back to the Toronto FC that we saw,
Vinko,
from
Bradley, Josie.
Like that's the days that you're trying to get back to, right? Or you're not really spending that much money. You're not going out and spending, what was it, $22 million for him to be good, right?
Remember they brought Mihailovic over, right, Tones?
Yeah,
so
right.
Mihailovic was getting numbers, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of, you said chance creation, Mihailovic is going to be responsible for creating those opportunities, and
for some of it, for sure,
and most of it, I'd say.
Well, you got Daniel Shalloway, who's the captain of Kansas City. I mean, he's shown enough that he can create chances. I understand that, but he can at least do something.
He's not making the final ball. Like, he's not a Carlos Heel. Mihailovic is the one who's supposed to be the number 10, the creative guy, so he can open up back lines and find Josh Sargent. So again, it goes back to Josh Sargent. The expectation is he's scoring 15 to 20 goals every season. Now, do they win? Do they put together a championship roster? That's a whole nother discussion. But in terms of his impact in MLS, which is favorable to attacking players, because most of the rosters they're heavily spent on the front three, that you would expect for him to get his goals.
Yeah, I think what's interesting with their roster builds, Big Tones, you bring in Walker Zimmerman, so you get an older center back who got a lot of experience. Obviously, you got Jonathan Osorio, who plays for the Canadian national team. I like his game a lot. He's your captain, sits in the 6 in front of the 4. You've added Cifuentes, who was good at LAFC, and now he's here with Toronto. Shalloway, Mihailovic, Derek Etienne Jr. I like these guys. Like, there's a good roster connection. They let go of Sean Johnson, which I think might bite them, because their goalkeeper they brought in now, big guy and good shot stopper, but already made a mistake in one of these first 2 games, and maybe not as steady as maybe they would need. So we'll see. But it feels like on paper they've got something. Now it's up to Robin Fraser and his staff to maximize it. They go to FC Cincinnati this weekend. They could be 0 wins and 3 losses to start the season. And I don't know if Josh Sargent is going to come in and be the immediate cure for that.
Yeah, and that's why I think you got to, for me personally, I got to look longer term. Like, I know they spent money on him. Like, for example, Latte Lot. I get the sense it's not working out, right? They're not getting better. He's not scoring goals. Now, I know he had the injuries last year. Like, Josh Sargent has to take a different path, right? He has to make this team better, because I think Toronto is one of those teams that always had ambitions of winning things, just like Atlanta United. And I think, I think he'll score goals in this league. Every indication leads you to believe that he will once he gets his feet underneath him. But I think there has to be something attached to it, because I can't imagine that you spend – think of Inter Miami. You spent $1 gazillion on Lionel Messi. What would it have all been worth it in the end if they didn't win anything? Like, you would have just had I don't know, Charlie.
I would argue.
No, we would have hammered Inter Miami. We would have
but at the end of the day,
if
you looked at those owners and you said, was it worth it? And Inter Miami jerseys are all over the world.
I get that part.
Recognition, like, from a business
with no
standpoint,
trophy,
we're not talking
we
about,
would have killed them. We would
we still would have killed them.
Yeah.
But
we would have destroyed them.
Anybody in the world would have said it was worth it. It's worth the risk. It's worth it.
Worth the risk is different. Worth the risk is different than is it worth it, right? Worth the risk, no doubt about it. You take the best player in the world, you bring him to your team, and you hope that you win something in the end. I mean, the Moss brothers, all they've spoken about since bringing him in was winning things, being the best team. And to be the best team, you have to win something. So they won MLS Cup. Now he talks about winning.
Shield, then that.
Yeah. And then they talk about winning. He calls champions, right? So champions CONCACAF Cup. I just think in Toronto, this isn't worth it in the end. If Josh Sargent scores 20 goals every year for the next 4 years, and they do nothing in the league. Now get to a final, win an Eastern Conference, battle for supporter shield, whatever it is, they got to do something. If they just linger in 6th or 7th place every year, is it worth it?
No, because I'll tell you.
But Josh scored 20 goals a year. Great.
Yeah, but it's not worth it from a business standpoint either. At least if you don't win a trophy, even though you're saying, hey, that's going to justify
I'm talking
it.
on the field. I'm not talking about jerseys I'm talking on the field. Like jerseys, I get it. It's Lionel Messi. That's not what you brought Josh Sargent for, obviously. No. It'll help. They'll sell some. That's not what, but yeah, I think you got it. Something has to. you have to be dominant at some point in the Eastern Conference over the next couple of years. And they've done this before, right? It's not like, and even when they weren't doing it, it's not like they weren't spending money. Jimmy, you joked about the 2 Italian guys coming over, right? But they were spending money. It just didn't work out, right? It wasn't like they put their hands in their pocket and never took them out. They did. They went and spent money. I just think in the end, if Josh goes and scores 20 goals a year and they're lingering in the Eastern Conference for the next couple of years, like it's
that's
just
not,
doesn't.
For me, that's not on Josh then.
Yeah.
It
would validate
his job,
right?
Yeah,
he did his job.
right.
But then you look at how the team was built and the deals that they were handing out. That's trash. Then you go, whoever's the architect behind the scenes, terrible decisions in acquiring players, terrible decisions in releasing players and so forth. So again, yet to be seen, is to be determined on what happens with this team. But so far, I wouldn't be backing Toronto in any way, given
right now,
the team that they've been putting out.
What's interesting for me is their schedule. I hadn't really looked at it through fine-tooth comb or whatever the phrase is. But the first game was away to Dallas. They were down. They got back to 2-2. Then they gave up a late goal to Musa, and they lost Peter Musa to they lost the one 3-2. They go to Vancouver. They lost that one 3-0. Never really in the game. Now they go to FC Cincinnati in match day 3. And we could see and wouldn't be surprised if they lost that one too. So now they're 3 games, 3 losses. Their next 9 games, everyone, are all at home. 9 straight games at home. That is when Josh Sargent and the team got to figure it out. If you're going to bring a player like him, that he's got to make a splash. There's got to be energy and momentum that you're creating during that. 9 straight games at home.
Wow.
You confirm that for me if you think that's wrong. After that, from what I'm seeing here, they've got 6 straight on the road. So they have to take advantage. And that first home game is against Red Bull New York, who are playing pretty well against Michael Bradley, or for Michael Bradley. So then they got Columbus Crew, then the Rapids, FC Cincinnati again, Austin, Philly, Atlanta, Earthquakes. Inter Miami will be their last one on May 9th, and then they go on the road for 6 straight. Crazy schedule, but you have to maximize your time at home. That's an unbelievable time for Josh Sargent and this team to galvanize their fan base and to say, hey, we got a team that's going to be competitive this year. And if they can't do it in that stretch, then, well, I don't know if the coaching staff will have their jobs for much longer, but that's really where they're going to be tested. And so I guess a lot of the reasons why that I'm seeing now from Avi, BMO Field is going to be used for the World Cup. So the schedule had to be kind of worked around. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, 9 straight home games. 27 points, probably a little unrealistic, but you got to be getting at least 20 out of those 9 games, at least, if you want to be competitive at the end of it, because you can't count on getting results away from home in this league in particular. So this, interesting signing. And he talked about, we heard from him at the beginning there, Chuck, if he starts to light it up, I know this is all hypothetical and speculating, so you have to play along with me here. But if he starts lighting it up, he had mentioned something about getting back in the World Cup radar for Mauricio Pochettino. Is that even possible, or is he just a pipe dream at this point for this guy?
Pipe dream.
Okay.